Welcome to Scouting Mass, Episode 2.
Episode 2, the post-holiday episode. Whichever holiday it may be, just substitute that.
I want to call it, I've been thinking about it since a couple weeks now, since we've been talking about Episode 2 and trying to find who was going to be on it, and I was thinking about calling it the Rich and Alex RNA. Ribose nucleic acid.
Yeah, that might work. Then again, it may not.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's my biology experience and education is limited, so we'll stop at RNA, DNA, and RSV vaccines, RSVP. I don't know. RSVP.
It's the vaccine that speaks back to you.
It speaks back. It's the one you have to. It's the one you have to schedule. I think.
I'm coming. I'm coming to the
I have
party.
to schedule that one. Somebody actually called me from my pharmacy. They're like, "Hi, I never get calls." They're like, "Hey, just want to let you know you're eligible for, a few different vaccines here." And they're like, COVID, pneumonia, RSV. I'm like RSV, or they actually said RSV and then pneumonia. I'm like, so that would be RSVP if I get those together, like kind of like Tdap with the tetanus, diphtheria.
Your logic is strong.
It's not that strong. It's getting there. It's not that strong, but nice of them to call. Let me know that's I'm eligible for that. That's great. So
I want to give you the first topic of the second inaugural Scouting Mass, but the first inaugural RNA. But first, just saying once again, thank you to Peter. Mm-hmm. Thank you to Peter for being here with us. It is the day after Thanksgiving, 2025, and we're coming to you from a wonderful, typical New England school, like many that I've taught in. And the second Scouting Mass and first RNA inaugural topic will be? Me? I get to pick?
You told me you're going to tell me what that is, so.
No, I was going to let you. I was going to let you open it.
Oh, I'm sorry. You go ahead and open that.
I get to open it. Okay. I thought this episode, seeing how it's just you and I thought it was an opportunity for us to do a little bit of definition. Like, what are we doing with this show? Why are we here? Why do we commit to coming here? Why do we force Peter to come here?
Right.
So that's the topic. Why are we doing this show? And okay, so you let me pick the topic. Let me let you take the first.
Why we're doing the show? So
why you? Why me? Why us?
Why are we doing the show? We're doing the show because we feel a need in discussions as longtime friends, chatting about society in general, and not anything of a political nature to the listeners, but just in general, looking at what's important in society, our culture, values in the country, just good, solid American values that have nothing to do, again, with anything of a partisan nature. It's just, what do we care about? We care about folks being honest, being responsible, as we were talking about briefly before the show, helpful, kind to others, thoughtful, things like that. We do see this. We don't always hear about it in the media or read about it in the media. It's out there. We know it's out there. We're not always hearing about it. And part of our mission with the show is to reach out, discuss these things, how these underlying values that most people accept. You can go to the golden rule, if you will, just kind of this all-encompassing thought of doing to others. But looking at how that aligns with Scouting's values as two volunteers with the Scouting program, we look at those values and how they kind of are positioned and framed to help young people move into adulthood, become good citizens, develop good character, and be contributing and participating citizens in their communities. And the guests, we had our first couple of guests in the last show, and chatted with those two gentlemen at length about values. There was a theme if people were kind of following. We'd come back around and look at their experiences and what was important to them in their lives and how that looked and tied into some of the values that Scouting instills in young people.
100%.
thoughts?
Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you.
Oh,
I mean, I want to, of course. I want to.
don't want to derail that
I
train
want
of
to.
thought.
Yeah, I don't want to
that's-
derail the train. I want to
yeah,
comment on every wagon
it's,
in that train.
It's
though.
easy to derail with a one-track mind. So, but no, and that's kind of what we're doing. We talked about what a great way, community, public access radio and video to get the word out, get people introduced to, as we progress through the follow-on shows and have more guests coming in. We will have community leaders, business people, and by community leaders, we don't necessarily mean the mayor or the de facto leader of a community. Just somebody that's doing good things out there, and it could be a small business owner. It could be just this just decent citizen that people respect a lot. And we want to bring those folks in, those men and women, to talk to them about their background, their livelihood, their education, their training, and how they handle people, how they handle their customers and their neighbors and their friends, and again, how that kind of relates to what we're trying to do with kids on the other side. So we have a kind of a scouting bend. I think we're not a scouting program. As in a radio program, we have a scouting viewpoint that we try to expand and show how much this is needed and how it encompasses everybody in our community that we communicate and speak with daily.
Totally agree.
Okay.
Who do you remember who wrote The War of the Worlds?
H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells.
I believe. Yeah.
You do remember.
Yeah.
And
For the trivia point, wasn't it Herbert George Wells for trivia?
you'd have me on that.
Oh, I don't know. It's
I-
Trivia Master. Somebody can look that up.
You know I'm awful with names, and I'm just pleased as punch that I can recall H.G. Wells.
Well-
I need a story, but let me
Do your story.
before you do. Try to hijack my comment with history about the H.G. What is it? Herbert Gary Herbert what?
Herbert George, I believe.
Herbert
But,
George.
so if we have any fans listening, maybe they can check that. And if it's accurate,
Hello, fans.
yep, check in with me for trivia night and not Alex. That's what will happen. But unless you're talking about automobiles or Pink Floyd, that's your guy.
Herbert George.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
We think that we don't
Take the point.
That was
Take
either
the point.
Peter or the voice of the Almighty. We're not sure which. But
Which could be one and the same in the
really
studio.
like it. Could be the same.
In the studio,
Can I
it's one
tell
and the
my
same.
story about H.G.
Okay,
Wells?
absolutely.
Good grief. So H.G. Wells is known as the writer of fiction, and he was. But he was also a historian, and he wrote what, for me, has been one of the most important books that I've ever read. It's called The Outline of History. And it's a book that goes wide rather than going deep. It talks about a lot of stuff, and it lasts. It starts. He started. The first time he published it was like 1915, and then he fixed it again in 1920, and then he fixed it again in 1927, and then he passed away. So 1927 is the most recent revision of the book. And so he starts at the beginning, right, with like caveman and plate tectonic movement, and then he gets all the way through World War I because he didn't get to World War II. But throughout the whole book, whenever he talks about China or the Middle East or Africa, whatever he talks about, he always asks the same question. What has this historical figure, usually a king, right? Because when we go back 400 years, pretty much that's what they were called. What did these historical figures do for the everyday person? How have they left the state of the world for the quote-unquote little man, little person, little woman, for the average member of that particular society? Again, doesn't matter if it's South America, North, doesn't matter. The average member, is he better off or she better off? And that's, I thought that when we started the show, when you introduced me to scouting, scouting values, these are the things we need. You said values a couple times when you said why we're doing the show, and that was my thing too, right? Like, let's show what values mean. We can start small by you and I having a conversation that's respectful and that integrates each other's views to be an example for how to do that. Because maybe some folks maybe some folks are getting stuck in this online world that we live in where they just talk to the ether. And I also wanted to, one of those values is to create a place that's decent and kind and you can hear two people who care about each other and who've worked together be decent and kind and respectful to each other. Yeah, I'll stop there. I just wanted to touch on the little man. I wanted to
How
touch
it
on
affects
that.
the common
Yes,
man or
yes.
the ordinary citizenry.
Yes, I've
yeah.
absorbed that question. So if I'm thinking about the French Revolution, my question is, well, how did the little farmer deal? Right. That's my question if I'm thinking about a historical topic.
Which is not what we usually cover in history in school. We kind of cover for lack of a better term, the more famous, infamous, flamboyant figureheads of history seem to be the subjects, at least from my schooling, that you kind of focus on those personalities more so than, and not so much in college, but I'm thinking of moving grade school through high school. We would focus on dates and personalities. In college, of course, you get a little deeper, the causes of things, how that affected folks. But what doesn't really change, because there can be catastrophes and traumatic experiences, tsunamis, wars, all kinds of stuff. But basic respect and kindness, again, those are human values that we're trying to highlight and bring to mind through our guest in our stories and anecdotes. Those don't change. They don't go out of style. They're very important to. It's polite, it's courteous to help somebody and open a door if they're carrying a lot of groceries out of the store, and not let that door just slam. It sounds like a silly example, but it kind of is very important. And there's people that just haven't been exposed to that. The world revolves around that. That's I believe a minority of people revolves around themselves. Most people I believe are good and have those values, but it's important to put those out there, because those values come from what place? I can pose a question to you. Where do those values develop in young people?
Where did those values come from in young people? That is the question, and I'm going to answer it in one half of 1 second. But I wanted to touch on something you said about, like, people can be stuck in a self-centered point of view. Of the millions of things that I've told you over the years, one of the things that I've sort of said to you and to other people and have thought about quite a bit is that I believe this human believes that self-centeredness and selfishness is a civilization killer, a relationship killer, a destroyer of self. I think it's real important to not be just about yourself. I think it's real important to do something that doesn't benefit you in any immediate way, something completely outside. And we can list those examples: military, scouting, etc. Which, neatly, to your point, how does a young person or a not so young person or an old person acquire or reacquire some of these virtues? You define a value system for yourself, and then you start practicing it, right? So the question one is, where do you get the value system? And question two is, how do you decide or force yourself or exercise the virtues that you now believe in? And it's bad if you choose the wrong virtues, right? Like if I choose smashing car windows as my virtue,
Right.
a somewhat silly virtue, but it could be it's available. I could get caught. There could be problems, right? And well, how am I helping my fellow person? How am I helping my fellow human being? Anyway, I'm droning, so I'll stop.
Do you have a drone license? No, it's
I do. I do
You
have a
do.
drone
Actually, I have one
license,
too.
yeah.
So that's perfect for this show.
I think it's called a liberal arts degree. I myself am an English major.
So great points, and that's true. What if you have chosen or been exposed to, not really chosen, but I think sometimes it's exposure. I think it happens at a younger age in developing personality. Years ago, we had the family with mom, dad, and brother and sis, and extended family, grandparents, and you had the family values, and you've had a lot of those were very similar across at least Western culture, and if there's something there, we don't quite have the same family dynamics as when I was growing up, but those values are still available, and I think most people still embrace those. But you had places of worship, so regardless of your faith or not, you had groups, associations, churches, synagogues, whatever that would help as an additional tier to teach this. You're a teacher, so that in public and private education, those values were also set up. There are standards. There's classroom behaviors. There's expectations given, not just
Goals.
academically, right, but just classroom behavior. You raise your hand, you speak, you let somebody else speak. Just some good manners and things that you learned along the way. And sometimes things have changed. Life's gotten harder, and it's not throwing a dart at anybody or any group. Things aren't the way they used to be, but those values are still important. They're still embraced again by a lot of families, a lot of people with children, or a lot of adults in general. And I'll come back around to scouting. That's where we were. We were an additional, if you will, leg on the four-legged stool. We were like the fourth leg, because sometimes you had that, or more frequently now, the single-parent family or the non-traditional family. A lot of folks have faith, but maybe not a faith community they participate with. The schools, as you know, as an educator, are just taxed. People are working hard in schools. They're not. They're trying to be everything to everyone. It doesn't always work that way. So we're a partner. We come in and we partner with the community, with education, with faith, and with families to offer these environments for kids, be it the outdoor one, the meeting rooms, where there are expectations of working civilly. And something I found interesting in the past year, actually about a year ago, we had started a Sea Scout group, which is an aquatic-based group for teens. They do all the things scouts do that you are familiar with or imagine.
Is that primarily for leg strength, sea squats?
Yes. That's probably aquatic scouts, maybe water scouts. I don't know.
Got it.
But they're in there learning about boating, canoeing, and also basic scouting values. So teenagers can be kind of a rough crowd, as you're aware of, dealing with in more so in some cases than the younger kids. So here are a bunch of teens. Really, they're running 16 to our age runs up to 20, so young adulthood for that program. And these people were there, and there was a young man who joined who had never been in scouting, and the majority of our kids had come up through various scouting programs, were familiar with values and things like that. And just something is very simple. It's really kind of moved me. I thought it was awesome seeing a teenager do this, where they do a ceremony. We have the scout sign, which is the 3 fingers extended. And they do this when they say the scout oath and the scout laws. And they're doing this going through the ceremony of a closing ceremony.
And the scout oath and the scout law
Right.
is an opportunity to repeat and therefore remember
And reinforce.
the
these
values that you choose. You choose, right? Nobody forced you to be a scout.
You chose to be a member, and this is what you chose to live by. And to do your best to do this. We're not saying people are perfect. Definitely not young people, and certainly not adults. You're doing your best. But the one young man was, I think, using the wrong hand, which is okay. He'd never been in scouting. He'd not been. This was his first experience. And I noticed one of the older guys, teens, coming over to him afterwards. So he didn't call him out. He didn't come over to him and say, "Hey, you're a knucklehead. You did this wrong." Like you sometimes, and I've seen that in sports. I've seen that in sports with teens. I've seen it in clubs with teens in high schools. Nope. He comes over and he goes, "I know you weren't a scout. Let me show you how to do this." And he takes a moment and he gives him just some quiet instruction off to the side. So this young man has learned something that everybody else knows, and they're not making fun of this kid for it. Again, and it may not seem really, drastic, but to me, I've seen teens dump on somebody for not following along the right way. And it was just a very nice moment.
Are you telling me
value.
that young, like teenage people sometimes make fun of other teenage people cruelly? Is that what you're?
No,
is
actually,
this the news you're delivering?
Sometimes they make fun of adults too. And sometimes adults make fun of people. And while human nature's there, I've always tried to, as you know, but the listeners and viewers do not. So I don't pick on people for who they are. I will tease you because you did something stupid. And you're like, and it's out of character, so it becomes humorous at that point. And I know you do the same with me. Like, what are you talking about? So it's out of character, but we're not, attacking people's, abilities, knowledge, whatever. There's knowledge gaps. Something I hated, and you've heard this when we work together. People say you should know that. I'm like, why should I know that?
Yeah.
Why should I know that? Because I'm an adult working in the same area as you, in the same profession. I have not had exactly the same training. It's slightly different. Maybe or my experiences are different. So nobody should know anything. I hate that phrase. We're there to help folks. The other phrase, you don't know what you don't know. And there's a whole lot of
It's a phrase that's used by somebody who would like to establish some level of superiority over the other person, right? You should know that. By whose standard is the should coming from?
Right.
Is it Tibetan monks? Is that the standard we're using? Because if it is, then we should probably know something about the chants and things like that.
The
We
chants are
should know
good.
this.
Candles, I think candles were involved too. But
That's where I draw the line is
yeah,
candles.
and the Tibetan monks, that's the Himalayas, right? So I digress. I'm moving over to like Sasquatch, and Sasquatch is a legendary being, a cryptid,
Oh.
and we've had up at our camp. I'm sorry, this is just going there. I'm sorry.
Both
This is the rabbit
listeners have
hole.
stopped.
We're down to one now. We're down to one. We're down to one.
Me.
So, but sometimes Sasquatch is called Bigfoot, yet he doesn't mind.
Which
So, yeah.
oh,
Ooh, we're on a roll now.
Oh.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. We're in the zone now,
Sasquatch
right?
is sometimes called Bigfoot, yet he doesn't mind. Yeti,
Yes,
Yeti
yes,
doesn't
yes.
mind.
Himalayas.
And
got
so
me
you've
that.
tied Tibet in with the Sasquatch.
Right, which just brings us totally, not even full circle. It sends us off in a zone somewhere.
No,
But,
no. So hold on. I'll bring you back because I'm not in the zone at all. I was following what you were saying closely.
That's how
you were
good
basically
folks.
you were talking about a moment when a scout took it upon himself to show kindness and politeness to another person who was showing ignorance, but instead of you should know that, instead
Right.
of that attitude, which is condescending,
Right.
they took the time to just educate them quietly.
Exactly.
To help them, educate them to help them rather than educate them to belittle them.
Belittle them. Exactly. And that's and the other phrase you mentioned, you should know that is like a phrase used by the superior class. But it's kind of like the church lady. We'll go into SNL jokes later. But also, that's common sense. You've heard that a lot. You've heard it all your life. That's common sense. You should know that. And I had a professor tell me once, he says, well, is it common sense? Common sense to me is not common sense to you. And he is, for instance, how many people in the classroom are deer hunters? And like 2 people raise their hand. And he was a deer hunter. And he goes, okay, so how do you drag a deer out of the woods after you shot it? Everyone's like, I don't know. He goes, well, that's common sense to a deer hunter. And I said, or maybe some deer hunters. And he says, there you go. It's so it's all, again, based on your experience. And you use the word ignorance, which some people get fired up about. And I had a discussion with another friend about this the other day, using the word ignorant or ignorance. I'm ignorant of a lot of facts, and it's just not my experience. And
I
people
become
take
more
that-
ignorant every day as I learn a new subject. I realize, my God,
Yes.
there's so much I don't know about this as well.
Like broadcasting, podcasting. What's this dial do? Don't touch that. Peter's like, don't touch that. We're good.
I didn't touch it, Peter.
I was talking about me. Yeah, I'm not touching Peter. I swear. Yeah, it's crazy, but we all are ignorant of something until we have an opportunity to open our minds and look at that, and somebody either shows us or we
Right.
seek it out on our own to learn about a subject matter.
Ignorance is not a loaded word. Ignorance
it
simply
isn't.
means the absence of
Of
information
knowledge
about.
or knowledge, yes.
Right.
And that's where we're using that here, where some folks tether on that, like that's it's not.
I
It's we're all
got a story there. May I?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm running out already, so go ahead. Give me a chance.
You
to
are
make-
not running out.
Yeah.
You are not running
I'll
out.
just formulate something while you're
You're
telling
not
me.
running
this,
out.
yeah.
When I joined the Air Force, they taught us not to memorize the technical orders.
Mm-hmm.
Don't memorize the technical orders, and you know how this is. Some people are better at explaining the why than other people.
So for the one listener left who maybe has
No, I
been
think
in the
we
Air
got a
Force-
second one now
Oh,
that-
good, good.
yeah,
so
they came back.
maybe somebody who's not been in the Air Force. Can you explain what technical
Yet
order
he
is?
came back.
Yes. Yeah. Good. It's good. Help yourself to some Himalayan pink salt. Technical orders. Why don't we define that for folks that aren't familiar? I'm familiar with it. You are.
It's a
intimately
book
familiar.
that tells you how to take something apart, put it back together,
Mm-hmm.
test it for operation. Everything has such a book, whether it's a Jeep or a Hummer or an airplane. Everything has a book that tells the respective mechanic for that vehicle how to do certain jobs on that vehicle, and we just call them TOs or technical orders for short.
And my understanding of that, to expand a little bit, is those are considered lawful orders. Those are technical because that's the safety of the aircraft in many cases. So it's not like, oh, I'll just take a shortcut and put this Walmart screw in. Here you've got to go through and use the proper materials, tools, procedures, check-offs, checklist, whatever, because in the case of aircraft, and obviously some vehicles too, there's a safety issue. So that is not just like, hey, I'm a mechanic, I can fix this. You are a very disciplined, solidly trained mechanic who can do that. So technical orders, don't memorize these because they're books. And back to your story, I'm sorry.
No, not at all. No, I really like what you said. Everything's dangerous. Everything's dangerous. A chair's dangerous, right? Like, but when you're talking about a large vehicle that has horsepower and rotating parts, everything's very dangerous. And yeah, the way you said it is just right. Being a mechanic is about knowing how to work with tools. Being a aircraft mechanic is learning the aircraft. You can be a great mechanic, but you're ignorant. Yet he ignorant.
Yeah. Yet he ignorant. Oh,
Yet he ignorant.
yes. Yeah, we need to squash those jokes. I don't know. They're getting out of hand.
What do you think? You're a Bigfoot now? We didn't get as many as we usually get out of that. We must be nervous. But yeah. Uh-oh.
Bad joke alert.
Either that or there's a fire. We warned. I think Peter's going to say something.
I got another one. I just set the alarm because that was a really bad joke.
I told you it's a bad joke alarm, yeah. Yeah, Alex.
Okay, no, that's good because at least somebody's is listening. You know what they say about people who think other people's bad jokes are bad, don't you?
No, but you're going to tell us.
No, I will.
Okay.
They're jealous. They're jealous of the jokes.
Okay.
You know? Do you believe that? You don't believe that.
Small percentage. Small percentage.
Or you could be in the control room doing this.
Or you could be ignorant of the context of the joke. So,
Yeti brought it up again.
yes.
This show is brought to you by Yeti. The scent of a man.
Now you know the rest of the story.
Oh my God.
No, you're right. So back to the go. Set of values.
Right.
Set of values. A set of values that you agree to follow teaches you responsibility. Right? If responsibility means having a set of rules, responsibility means dedicating yourself to those rules. And so I said to you, the question is, where do you get the rules from? Because not every source is good, right?
Right.
We don't want to get the rules from a cult leader. We don't want to get the rules from somebody who's sensational and maybe like makes a big fuss about things. Here's one that you may, I don't know, maybe you've thought about this, maybe not. So there's some people whose basic way of describing the world is a way of describing the world in which they're warning you that something bad is going to happen. We have a word in English for those kinds of people. They're called fearmongers, right? And then later, as we learn and go to school, we learn that fear is one of the methods in which advertising agencies utilize, right?
Right.
So, hey, we're going to show you this picture of food. That's not fear. That's like kind of like
Desire.
That's desire. Yeah, you're
But
hungry.
fear is the, oh my
Fear is
God,
like, if you don't
what are those
use this-
white flakes on your black turtleneck?
That's right.
You right?
I
Here
got
we go.
dandruff. I got to fix this. This is a problem.
You know, if chronic halitosis, it's the mouthwash and chewing gum thing. We've seen a bunch of those.
Halibut halitosis.
Kiss a little longer with cinnamon flavored.
Yes, cinnamon flavored gum. Exactly. Right? No, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The fear. And I've noticed that this isn't just in advertising. I've noticed this trend in some of the podcasts that I love. Some of the podcasts that I've used to become smarter and to grow as a human being. Sometimes you see that they are sometimes selling fear.
Right.
Boy Scouts doesn't sell fear.
No.
We don't sell like something bad's gonna happen. What we're all about is hey, let's train in this, let's train in that, let's work together, let's help somebody, right? Let's have a little fun, let's make a fire. Let's
Learn-
get out of
learning-
let's learn something outside of where we are now.
That's
and
always-
I respect that.
That's
Sorry.
always been something. No, to jump on that, it's always been something for kids to want to do something different. You don't always want to do what mom and dad are like. Hey, let's go do this for vacation. They're like, yeah, especially teens, preteens. Like, yeah, that's okay. Let's do it. But we've always been able to, find these young men and women who are interested in doing this kind of stuff year round. So they're like, here's an opportunity to go out with a bunch of fellow teens and go camping in the winter, or ice fishing, or camping in the summer, kayaking, boating, canoeing, what have you. Something fun about that. We also teach part of the values is democratic process. So these kids come in and they elect their own leadership. And the elected leader appoints certain people, and then there's subgroups called patrols. Within the scout troop hierarchy, they elect their own leader as well. And it's interesting, and our Sea Scouts did the same. They elect 5 to 6 officers. They're set up a little bit different. There's very few appointed. They're all elected. And they just elected their officers at the annual election, which they held out at our camp in Russell, Moses Scout Reservation. And since they're Sea Scouts, or aquatics-based interest, they actually conducted their business meeting and their election in kayaks out on the pond in October, which is pretty awesome. And so they're learning the democratic process, but they're teens, and they're like, I'm having a blast with this. Let's get out there and do something fun while we're doing business. So that part's really good. But you're getting these kids to go off and do something that a lot of people don't go camping. They go glamping. A lot of people don't go camping anymore. And it's just that excitement of kind of getting in the woods, you're getting out in nature, building a fire, cooking your meal over that, or on the coals, or just in the outdoors, generally that fresh air. It's kind of like the backyard barbecue without the relatives. That's an adult perspective, guys. Without all the relatives there, and it's just like you're kind of there with your friends. Like, this is like the backyard barbecue with your friends, and we're just going to hang out, and then we're going to go take a hike in the woods and look at the stars, or tell ghost stories, or do something crazy. Like, kids will also run around the woods at night without a flashlight. So thank God for EMTs and first aid trained folks. But and that's one of the trainings we do, is for these kids to all learn some basic first aid, CPR, things like that. And a couple of years ago, you may have heard about this in the news. It was a group of scouts from, I believe, Illinois, that had traveled out to New Mexico, and there's a place called the Philmont Scout Ranch. People can Google that. It's a working cattle ranch. It was left to Scouting America back in like 1938 by a gentleman named Wade Phillips. Was a industrialist, oil man. Left this land, and kids go out there and go backpacking in the high country. They do excursions on horseback out cavalcades. There's a training center for adult scout leaders where they can get state-of-the-art training in dealing with youth and in the program-specific youth in general, all kinds of things. But anyway, they go on these outdoor, they hike for like a week out in the woods. They backpack in the high country, Sierra Nevadas, and do their just high adventure type scouting. And this group was coming back from Illinois, or from New Mexico to Illinois, I should say, and the train derailed. And you may have heard this, Peter, you may have seen this in the news. There was a train wreck. There was an accident with this train with these kids on board. And there's, I think, about 40 of them, plus all the passengers that were traveling back to Illinois. And before rescue teams arrived, these scouts moved into action. They had like 4 adults with them, and they were all 14 through 18. They moved into action, moving through the cars. Cars are wrecked. They're off the tracks. They're moving through, checking on the other passengers. Are you okay? Are you all right? They're triaging people using first aid. They're not doctors. They're not nurses. They're not claiming to be. They're taking emergency action, doing all of this. I think it's a very sad moment. I'm a sensitive person, so sorry if I get choked up. The engineer of the train basically was dying, and a 17-year-old scout stayed with him until he passed. So he did not leave this world alone. Yeah, and I thought that was really moving. And it was just kind of like this. It was a terrible thing, but it really showcased what we're doing with young people. And these are not exceptional. They are exceptional young men and women and young adults, but they're not different from the kids in Holyoke that are doing this, kids in Westville that are doing it, the kids across the country. They're learning these skills, and any of those kids are able to do this thanks to being part of the program. And we hope they don't. I hope they don't, and I'm sure they hope they don't. But they're ready to stand up when grown-ups around them are panicking, which is not a slam. It's you don't know how you react to a situation. These kids kept their cool, jumped in, took care of passengers, helped them evacuate, treated them, and it was fantastic, and it was a great thing. And I hope you both had seen this, and if you hadn't, shame on the media, because that was an AP story, I believe, carried by a few outlets. And that's a good story. People need to see that. We have young people out doing good things all the time, and that's an extreme example. But from the kids that are just helping somebody carry groceries into the house, an elderly person, or shoveling snow for somebody when they're neighbors, dog sitting or pet watching or something. There's a lot of good things young people are doing in the community, and that's something else we want to highlight.
For those of you following along at home, when I talk to Rich or when I listen to Rich, what I do is I make mental notes. Fire in the snow. I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Scouting the high Sierras.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. The heroism of scouts. Yeah, I want to talk about that. So I'll talk about them in reverse chronological. I think that story is tremendous, right? The heroism of scouts goes to helping people understand that the values that the organization teaches, when worse comes to worse, here's how those values play out, right? You teach somebody that if you see something bad, go and help. If that's what you're teaching every day, guess what happens when something bad happens? They go in and help, right?
Exactly.
Because that's the message. Messages are, especially to somebody who's forming their point of view about who they want to be in the world, deciding what is my responsibility vis-a-vis society, right? Who am I supposed to be? How am I supposed to treat the rest of the humans? How should the rest of the humans treat me? If they treat me this way, how do I react? All of these things, that's all part of like learning responsibility, learning values. What's the word I'm looking for when you, can't think of a word. I want to say subsume, I want to say swallow. Adopt is a good word.
Yeah.
It's a word that means
When you
take.
embrace.
Embrace is a good word because
Yep.
that's like hugging. But there's a word that I'm thinking of that I'm kind of blanking on that means like make them part of yourself. It'll come back to me in 5 minutes as you
Instill?
know it always does.
Instill.
Instill is to do that in somebody else. I
getting
guess
there.
you could instill it in yourself. So instill is another great word. I don't know if that's the one I wanted. We shall find out in 5 minutes, or stay tuned for that. Will Alex remember the word?
Or figure it out. Yeah. Remember it, or maybe
Come back for a future episode. We'll see.
Maybe a voice from beyond knows that word.
This is not a crossover with the Beyond, is it? Is this another?
Let's talk about our
Bigfoot?
producer, Peter. That's he may have a quick thesaurus.
Oh,
back there. Yeah.
Thesaurus. That's a type of dinosaur,
It's
right?
your favorite dinosaur, I believe.
It is my favorite dinosaur.
I suppose a terrible lizard. Yeah. Terrible word book. Okay. Back to your thoughts.
Back to my thoughts.
We're digressing.
So you take an organization, you take their members, you put them in a terrible moment in time, and they act heroically. I say, thumbs up for the organization and what they're teaching those young men and women. Okay. Hiking the Sierra Nevadas, I haven't. I want to. That's one of my goals in life. But I have climbed Mount Whitney, as I told you, probably more than you wanted to know. But I climbed Mount Whitney in 2012, and it's 14,000, give or take 500 feet. It's the highest mountain in the 48 contiguous.
Right.
You got to go up to Alaska to get higher. And those can be a little difficult because of the weather in Alaska. So I haven't gotten there yet. Difficult means expensive. So you got to buy gear, you got to get guides. But Mount Whitney was interesting. It was an easy climb, very easy climb. It was 22 miles. We started at about 6,000 feet, climbed all the way up to 14,500, as I said. It was an easy climb. It was just walking. There wasn't any kind of like climbing or anything like that. But the steadiness of it, the grind was hard, but it was fantastic. I can't wait to climb another mountain in maybe Colorado.
Nice.
I climbed Pikes Peak. So that's the Sierra Nevada comment.
And actually, I misspoke too. I don't believe it was the Sierra Nevadas. I know the actual range. I don't know if they're part of that range, the bigger range, but it's the Sangre de Cristo Mountains in northern New Mexico. So.
the Sangre de
Blood of Christ. Yeah,
Cristo
if you're a Latin fan. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Maybe the audience would have been happy with the Sierra Nevadas.
Yeah, but I don't want to be. I want to be accurate.
You want it to be okay. All right.
I want to misinform.
So we're doing geography. We're doing values
right, geographical values.
and pyrotechnic discussion because I'm about to talk about
Fire in the
fire.
sky.
Fire in the not in the sky.
Fire in the sky is back
Fire
to
in the snow.
paranormal. We're coming back. Yeah, Fire in the Snow.
Well,
That was a movie, I believe.
it was not a movie, but it was Fire in the Snow.
Yep.
Close to where I grew up here. I grew up in Connecticut, went to high school there, and my friends and I used to hike up into this little part of the forest, and we'd sit on logs, make fires, and talk. And that's an important part of growing up. That is all.
It is. It's a bonding. It really is a bonding thing, a bonding experience for anybody, young people, older adults. You sit around there. It's just comfortable. It's the fire pits people have. Same idea. Whether you're in the woods doing this, where you just sit in your backyard with a fire pit, having an adult beverage or a Coke, looking at the stars, just having some great conversation with friends and loved ones. That's an awesome experience, and not everybody gets to do that. Aside from you and I, but we offer those opportunities. Yes, sir. Raising your hand again. You don't have to do that. It's in the classroom.
Yeah, but it's okay. I don't have to jump into. Peter, can we take a 2-minute break? Can we hit the pause button? Folks, we're going to hit the pause button for 2 minutes for my own personal needs, and we'll be right back.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire. How to control the flames. What to do with hot coals. How to secure your chains. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back, Scotty Mass.
Yes. Welcome back, everyone.
We were talking about fire in the snow. Fire in the snow. It's magical. The smells, the crackling of the wood is hypnotic and sets a scene. The companionship, whether you're alone or with friends, the atmosphere is tremendous. If you're alone and it's cold, which I really enjoy, you can stare out at this cold night sky and maybe see the little twinkling stars. You hear the crackling of the fire. You see the little embers flying up from, the fire itself, and you're connected. I don't know what you're connected to, but you feel like you're part of this system where, the wood is obviously undergoing a chemical reaction, so that's not a miracle. The sky, we know how light works, right? But still, there's a oneness there. There's light from the fire. There's light from the sky. There's smoke from the fire. There's cold in the night sky, and these are things that make it a little bit hard, not very hard, but a little hard. And so everybody's there sharing a somewhat difficult experience. We're all huddled close from the cold. We're all enjoying the fire. It's a commonality. We're all doing something together. And that seems to be like the foundation of establishing relationships, right?
Yes.
Let's go do some stuff together.
It's a bonding.
And talk about what we did. That's just how people interact with each other. Over?
Yes, absolutely. I agree 100%. Again, it's a bonding thing. You get out there, whether you're going to a ball game, you're doing the winter fire camping thing, whatever it is, and that's what we do. We do talk about that right afterwards. So if we're in school or work, people are always saying, "Hey, what'd you do this weekend?"
Yeah.
And boom, you're right away. You're like, hey, I went to a ball game. I went to here. I went camping out in the snow with a crackling fire and froze, but I was with a bunch of great people and had a great time. And that's what it is. You're a little uncomfortable, but the benefit of the friendship and the experience outweighs what little discomfort you feel.
The physical
Yeah.
discomfort of the
Yeah,
cold.
and which also is a life lesson, right? It teaches you that you kind of work with others and you just keep a positive attitude, focus on the good, and the rest of the stuff. There's always going to be something there. There's a balance in life of good and bad, and it's going to be okay and move forward. So. Yeah, definitely a great experience. I've enjoyed those moments as well. Mine were predominantly with scouting, doing the camping with other kids and some friends. But a lot of folks have that benefit. I say a lot of people have fire pits in the backyard and get to enjoy that. And it's actually not unlike even the people that don't have fire pits. For those of you who have not been camping and don't have fire pits, if you've gone out to a restaurant and sat outside on a cooler night and they have the gas heaters sitting next to you, you feel that warmth, cold air and the warmth around you with friends and family. You're having a good time.
Yeah.
That's sort of the same thing, but not as good.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe it has something to do with fire, right? Because fire doesn't last forever. Oh, here's a poem I told you once. I'm sure you don't remember it, and that's okay. Let's see if I can get it just right. It's a haiku, and it goes something like this: next to a stone 3,000-year-old 2 red poppies grow. Next to a stone 3,000 years old 2 red poppies grow. I used to use that little haiku in my classes to express. I mean, you tell me what you think it expresses, but I think it expresses the fact that these 2 flowers are beautiful, red, alive, and they take center stage along with this less interesting thing that's been alive or present for 3,000 years. Mm-hmm. So it's the juxtaposition between the rock and the flowers. That's what I think they're talking about. The flowers will die, the rock will not die. Mm-hmm. Okay, but the flowers are prettier and more colorful. Okay, so with that, as you can comment on that in a second, I'm saying the fire is like the flowers, right? The fire will not last forever. The fire is alive. It's in front of you. You're all witnessing this brief life that will last an hour or two. Mm-hmm. That's magical in a way.
Yes.
You know, and you don't gotta, but in my opinion, your opinion, it's wonderful to go and be exposed to that experience with somebody else, then talk about it later, remember it later. So, over.
I think you're absolutely right. I don't remember the
I
haiku.
love being right.
I
It's
don't
like-
remember the haiku. Yeah. But no, well said. I agree though that that's a great image of these finite existence of the flowers, right? And it's like our own existence. It's going to start and an end at some point, and the rock, for all we know, is just going to be there another 2,000 years. To use that example, it's there. It's witnessed, if you will, all kinds of changes.
Many flowers.
Many flowers, and many other things, and it's just a great view of generally how life is, and that connection with the outdoors. That's an important thing. Before we had these great communication studios, great houses and condos that we all live in, we were, our ancestors were living off the land essentially. Caves, shelters. If you watch TV shows like Survivor, Naked and Afraid, and things like that, people are going back to in those situations having to go back to primal skills or basic skills of let's forage for food. Let's get some palm fronds or cut down a tree and build a shelter, just stay out of the rain or the wind, and try to survive there. And while we don't have to do that anymore, we can do that well prepared, knowing the weather that's coming thanks to science and technology. So, it's going to be a bad weekend. I'll bring all these supplies with me. But you can go out and still experience the good part of that.
Yeah.
that by being immersed in nature, if you will, or in the outdoors, and there's still a connection because that's in our makeup as human beings, as animals, in our DNA. That's where we come. It's very peaceful. Walking. Why do people go out and play sports outdoor? Baseball, football, and golf. Same thing. You're in the outdoors. It's not just the game itself. The element is outdoors. You're getting the fresh air. You're getting out there charged, and making a connection with nature. Also, probably making a connection with a few people tackling you in some cases, but that's a different one. Or a connection with your knee to your golf club, depending on your game. But generally, going out there it's having a great time. People go on picnics. People go to the park. We have a park across the street from the studio here. People do these things. I'd say they generally enjoy those, unless maybe perhaps you're in the armed forces. You may not enjoy going out, and I say that as a veteran. I used to. My joke is I started my career in the Army, and I really enjoyed camping until I joined the Army. That's yes, sir.
I just didn't want the moment to go away. You said that you enjoy something or you don't enjoy something, and there's a way. It's secret. It's hidden. You have to work at it.
Right.
But there's a way to enjoy everything.
Yes.
And it's hard. This is a weird thing to talk about. Just real quick as a prologue, as an opening. There was a movie called The Hunt for Red October.
Yes.
And in that movie, there's a scene of like the American character that's about to go on the Russian submarine, and he's standing. The character is standing in front of a mirror, and he's asking the mirror. He's trying to figure out how to motivate these Russian sailors to leave the submarine, so that the American ship can take the submarine. So basically, like almost everybody leaves the submarine except for the captain, and then the Americans get the submarine. And so that's the plot of the movie. And he's asking himself, how do you get people to want to leave a submarine? And he just keeps asking himself that question. How do I get these sailors to want to do that? And then the question becomes refined as he's asking it. How do I get these sailors to want to leave a nuclear submarine? And the minute he says the word nuclear, it occurs to him. It's obvious. It's so obvious, right? The captain, whose name's Ramius, and he's
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
Russian submarine commander. Yeah.
Books. What sort of books, Ryan? And then Ryan, the character, realizes that he's gonna tell them that there's a nuclear material
Meltdown
leak.
or something,
Yeah,
yeah.
a meltdown.
Or
And
something,
they got to
yeah,
get off the
something
ship.
dangerous, yeah.
And that way he can get the sailors off the ship so that they can. Okay.
Right.
So.
Right. If I recall, he's going to scuttle the ship, which is a ploy, and the sailors don't know the wiser. Yeah. But okay. back
So
to
you
your
got to
point.
start asking yourself that. In my opinion, you got to start asking how do I enjoy what's happening right now? And if you can't answer that question, then maybe you ask yourself, how do I modify what's happening to me right now so that I can enjoy it? And then you can ask another question, such as like, okay, my supervisor is making my life difficult. How do I fix the relationship with my supervisor so that so he doesn't make my life difficult? How do I take responsibility for what's happening with my job and my relationship with my supervisor so that I can improve it? How do I? It's all part of this question, and I led with the movie because it's a fun moment in time, and it helps me to remember this idea of like, try to understand the other person, try to understand what they want, and then try to understand yourself and how to become more, and to bring it full circle. Again, some of the activities that we do, all the activities that we do, the exposure to the nature, the exposure to each other, your fellow human, all these things tend to teach responsibility, values. They tend to teach the type of person who then jumps up and helps the other people on the train.
Right.
Over.
No, great point. And yes, you can make a positive experience out of any by focusing on.
The positive.
You can look at the good things that are happening around you. Is it something extremely terrible, or really not, just uncomfortable? I have some very fond memories of camping in a week at camp where it was just pouring rain all week. right? So you're not hitting archery, you're not really doing anything, but it was some of the best times because of the other activities we got to do, a lot of the jokes that came out of it, and some fun things like that. And that goes back to our scouting values. We have a handful of values, mostly contained in what we call the Scout of our Promise, and something called the Scout Law, which has 12 points. And one of the points, and people probably heard this, and trustworthy, we kind of talked on that a little bit, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, which comes into play in this scenario, right? Brave, kids on the train.
This
brave.
scenario right here between you and I?
No, the one we're just talking about with taking the good out of a situation.
Yes.
Cheerfulness.
Yes.
Comes in there. Cheerful, brave.
Agreed.
Clean, and irreverent. And
You're
and
good at
those are-
remembering those.
well, that was instilled in me, right, as a youth when I became a member of the program. But and that's what we do. We take it.
Yet
we
he
take
used it again.
I use. We take. That's very abominable. So we take those seriously, and we do. As a young person, you're joining this group, and you're like, wow, I have to learn this, and I have to do my best to live by this. And you're saying that I promise to do my best.
To do my best.
To do my best, right? You're not perfect. We're not perfect
Right.
beings. We're going to fail at times. We're
I
doing
found that
our
very
best.
interesting that the promise has to do my best in there, right? So you're promising to do your best to do your best, implying that sometimes you'll fail in doing your best. But
that will happen.
you'll come back and try it again.
You'll keep. That's the whole idea. Just
I
keep
really
the effort.
like that one.
And isn't that different
Continued
from-
effort.
Yes, isn't that different from a lot of the some of the values? Some groups or some people say, well, you need to do this. You do it or you don't. And promise or not, whatever. It's like, well, sometimes things get in the way. We're human beings.
Yeah.
I've always said, we're a very gray area. It's not nothing is a black and white issue. There's always some other nuances or issues going on behind the scenes. And sometimes you can promise to do something and you fail in that promise for a very good reason. Not that anyone will remember that always, but right, you'll fail. That's not the point. The point is, if you fail, you pick yourself back up and keep going. That's a lesson learned, and you get out and you try again. You're not over. The game's not over. Life's not over, and you keep going. And that's what we're teaching these young people. So that's coming back around. That we could hit on all those 12 points. You could do it in one show. You could do it over 12 weeks.
We're
It's
going
something
to.
Well, I know we will.
We're going to do it. It's all going to be based and supported by those values. Have I ever talked to you or mentioned to you the name Jocko Willink?
No, I don't believe so.
Jocko Willnick's an interesting guy. First of all, he's got a great name.
Right. Sounds like a cartoon character.
He does, but he's not. He's a great guy. Yeah. He's a college and high school and college wrestler turned special forces operator.
Nice.
And he, at the beginning of the podcast age in 2012, 2011, he had a podcast, and I saw him talking, and he was an interesting man. He talked about interesting things. And so I followed him. And one of those interesting things that he said is he had developed a personal philosophy for himself that he called radical. Oh God, I'm going to blank on it now. Radical responsibility. That's what he called it. And what he meant by that, I think, I mean, he talked about it a little bit. He didn't talk about it for 6 hours, but he just said, like, look, fix yourself first. Whatever's going on, whatever problem you have, look at you first. How are you making things better or worse? Take ownership of all of your actions. Every single word you say, every look. What's that Sting song? Every breath you take, every step.
That's a Stalker song, actually.
It's a bit of.
Yeah, it is.
Before it was a Stalker song, it was a good song.
Yeah, no, that's
for an 80s baby. But that was, so I got that idea. Anyway, I didn't get that idea from him, but his words crystallized that idea for me. Extreme responsibility, right? And when I started thinking about that, I started seeing a lot of ways in which I was making things worse for myself. Through anger, through impatience, through thinking that I had that I knew the best and that I knew better than anyone else and all, like, I guess that could be called ego. But, I share that because it was a mistake that I made, and he was the guy who kind of shed the light on it. He'll crack the door a little bit. I walked through it. I took responsibility
Right.
for changing myself, just like he suggested, and I kind of jumped on that because you were talking about responsibility. You were talking about scouting. You were talking about values. You were talking about the 12
Points of the law. Yeah.
the 12 points of the Scout Law, and it's all the same. This one you got to remember because I must have laid this one on you a million times. Do you remember me saying to you there's only 10 original jokes?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Dr. Newell, if you're out there listening, thank you. I remember you with love. Dr. Newell, my college philosophy professor, he used to say that at least once a period, maybe twice, maybe 5 times.
Well, could have been in anticipation of you offering more than 10 jokes, where he's like, "Hey, that's enough."
You think it was a limit?
I think
that he was
he's putting you in, based on our experience telling bad jokes back and forth at work. That's
I refuse to even consider that.
yeah, he's nuts. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Sorry,
But no,
Dr.
it couldn't.
Newell.
It couldn't have been that because he used it from day one before he ever even knew
Knew
me.
you. Maybe you just had a feeling. Could have been a vibe.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Darn, I couldn't get out of that one. But anyway, what I think he meant is that there's only a limited number of maybe ideas, like maybe friendship is an idea, like maybe truthfulness. No, forgive me. I didn't want to say truthfulness. Trustworthiness.
Okay.
Trustworthiness is perhaps one of the 10 original ideas. And if you think enough about that idea, how do you become trustworthy? What type of actions does a trustworthy person take? And we know now from modern psychology that some components of our personality is simply repetition, right? You do the right thing again and again and again and again, and it becomes habit to do the right thing. So trustworthiness is partially a function of repetition, but partially a function of what you believe is the right thing to do in a given moment. So we're going to talk about these values forever,
Right.
forevermore.
Oh, absolutely.
Hopefully you'll listen.
Well,
I broke the wall.
hopefully-
I broke the
hopefully
fourth wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah. That's the fourth wall. It's three. But yeah, and hopefully
I don't
we
have
have
much
some-
respect for walls.
Yes, it's
Like the Berlin Wall. I have
yeah,
no respect.
at all for that. No respect.
Kind respect.
No respect. Yeah, well, hopefully we'll have some more guests. Again, we'll be chatting with them about a lot of these underlying values in their lives and how they relate to our mission to instill these in young people through the scouting program. So
Yeah.
we'll see a lot of
That would be- that's
folks
the
too.
whole
We've
point,
got
right?
we do have some folks on tap. We're not going to announce names right now because we've got a list of folks that we've got to reach out and lock in schedules. So we will have some more people to chat with us up here, and that'll
And if
be
we don't
fun.
find anybody, they're just going to have to enjoy the
us,
RNA.
and, yeah. We'll just
the
yeah,
RNA
we'll-
show.
the banter, and we'll just move through. We'll try to liven that up a little bit. But no,
Banter
there'll
like
be some.
nobody's business.
Yeah.
You're using coconuts. What?
What?
You're using 2 empty halves of coconut and you're banging them together. You don't even
no.
have a horse.
Yes. God. I'm flashing back to midnight movies right now. Oh my gosh. Let's show up at the theater in college. I have the $2 for the midnight admission fee. But no, touching on again, what's trustworthiness? How do you do that? And people say things, or what's ethical, and it's what you're doing. People aren't looking, but you're right. A lot of that is instilled through repetition. A lot of that is someone consciously deciding, this is what I want to do. I want to be this kind of person.
Got to decide.
I want to be the person that people can count on. So if you're trustworthy, that's a big thing at any, in the military. Both of us were in the military. So you've got somebody that's trustworthy, somebody that's going to carry out the mission and do what they need to do, whether or not they may directly like it. They know it needs to get done, and they're going to do that. And they're not going to bat an eyelash. You're going to step up and do it, and you can count on them to complete it. And that's the same in any business. If you hire an employee, you want somebody that's trustworthy, that's going to do the job and do it correctly, the way you train them or taught them, or the way the customer expects, to provide a good product or service. And
The honest way?
The honest way is a hallmark of good business, or good relationships. And that's important. We know a lot of schools, and we're sitting here in the Westfield Tech Academy studio. A lot of schools will also set their standards. I see a lot of teachers in some of my experiences in the past few years, either in the past as a substitute teacher for all grade levels, and I was also working at a summer school program last summer where we partnered as Scouting, partnered with the school to offer a co-curricular program to them to meet some of their MCAS needs. And it was great. A lot of them have the classroom rules. The teacher said, here's my expectations. And it wasn't overwhelming. It's 1, 2, or 3. Like, this is it. You know, polite, raise your hand, let somebody speak type thing, respectful. Some really good values that go along.
Are you setting me up to talk about my classroom rules that I used to have?
I'm not, but that's a really great segue to that. I wasn't.
No, I
setting
didn't
you up,
want
but
to. No, I didn't want to. I just
you
thought
didn't have
I thought
rules?
you were. I had rules.
No, I'm
but I
sure you
tried to
did.
make them like. I tried to make them. So here's an example of one. Do not belittle others to make yourself feel better about yourself. That was one of my rules.
Right.
So the point of the rule was not so much to make a rule, but to let me talk to the students about the rule. Right? Like, that's what I really wanted. I wanted to have them understand the rule, come up with examples of the rule, and then if they saw it, if somebody would, so the way it would happen is somebody would make fun of somebody in my classroom, and having been a guy who got made fun of when I was in the position of being a new student, whatever, I didn't want that to be duplicated in my classroom. So somebody would make fun of somebody else, I would say, first warning, and the student invariably would be like, "What'd I do, mister?"
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "Well, you belittled somebody to make yourself feel better about yourself, And then we'd have of course, the answer in fine lawyerly fashion would be, "No,
Yes.
no, I didn't." And then I'd get to talk to them about what that rule was.
Nice.
Ultimately, my object was to talk to them about not belittling people and about treating people well. If the person wanted to have an argument with me about that and state their point, fantastic. Now I got to talk about the idea, right? So
Right, and it's
anyway,
reinforcing
I didn't
it,
know
but
if
it's
you were-
reinforcing that with the other kids who aren't the violator.
It's reinforcing it with the other
You know,
kids.
and with the kid, the perpetrator, the alleged perpetrator.
And sometimes I would get like class discussions, like some kid over there would be like, "No, you did do that because," and they would explain why it was breaking the rule.
They're learning, they're understanding, comprehending. Yes.
And more
Yeah.
importantly, they're also learning how to make their point, how to make their argument. They're doing it respectfully, and that was like to me that was everything. Like getting them to talk about themselves was not to talk about themselves, to talk about their own
Amongst
thinking.
amongst themselves,
Amongst
communicate
themselves to communicate
respectfully, which is-
Respectfully,
yeah,
that's
so-
the key. Learn how to go along, get along. Whatever, all that good stuff.
Back to courteous, one of our scouting values too. It's
Connected.
it's it just all comes together. It's like this big whirl that just
It's like a hand inside of a glove.
a perfect fit.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But that fit, is variable, right? Because different size hands. That's why it's just kind of like a latex.
Excellent
there
point.
You go.
Excellent
a surgical
point.
glove, right? Or
Yes.
use that. It stretches a little bit, so you can fit everybody. These things are values that everybody can embrace.
If the
they can
surgical
adapt to.
glove don't fit,
Yeah.
we must quit.
Yeah.
As in, let
As in-
Peter go home.
As in the podcast, yeah.
As
That's
in,
it's
not the podcast,
oh,
just
just right
tonight's.
now.
Yeah,
I
tonight's
think he's
episode.
counting down. He's
We
counting
gotta
the clock going.
leave him wanting more. We can't tell him all the secrets of life and Yetis in one night. We gotta hold
Yetis,
stuff
yeah.
back.
Right. Got to keep. Although there's plenty of topics, plenty of things to cover, plenty of ways to just connect with all these values and these examples. But I think your classroom rules are good. The classroom rules here.
I gotta
they
find
make
out. I gotta
sense.
try to
Yeah.
dig up a copy of them. I don't know where the heck they are.
I like to hear the 10 jokes. I'd like to see you find that copy.
Oh,
So
you're not
that's a
ready.
challenge
You're
now,
not ready
yeah,
for the
yeah.
10. You mean the 10 original jokes?
Yeah, that's
We'll work up to it.
yeah. It's gonna be digging through the attic or something looking for this. I need to find
Episode
this now.
253.
Yeah,
Maybe
Found
we'll
those
talk.
jokes.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute, I'm the new co-host. Yeah, somebody else is here. Somebody else is here by then. Peter, you want to hear these too? No, I'm not Peter. I'm the new producer. Yeah, it'll be all different. That's, oh my gosh, But really, that's we're kind of rambling around, chatting a little bit. And this is what we do. We do this banter thing when we don't have a guest to anchor us a little bit, folks. So we drift sometimes, but we always come back to port.
Like
We always come back.
a boat on the ocean.
Yeah.
Or another analogy, if that's
A boat on the ocean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I never got to. I want you to.
Like a balloon adrift. Yeah.
Ooh, that's good because
Yeah.
the wind carries it.
Carries that.
Yeah.
That's a little story, right?
do
Talking
you-
about values and different things. You remember, and it's also a lawyer story too, right?
Oh, let's not talk about that.
That was-
But I want you to recognize my sacrifice. Did I bring up cars one time tonight?
Oh, I'd be fine if you want to speak about cars. There's all International Scout. You could tie that right in there, right? That's
That's good.
yeah, that's something.
That was really good.
That was a good vehicle too.
That was really good. That was really
So
good.
I'm telling you,
And
everything is just
You know they're
pivoting on
okay.
me.
So now I'm going to talk about cars. You know they're back, right?
I had heard that.
Folks-
Actually, I believe I heard that from you.
From me, yeah. Of course you did, because who else in your life would be like, "Hey, Rich, did you know that Volkswagen bought the rights to the International Scout brand and has turned out a new facility in, I believe, South Carolina?"
Oh, nice.
Hopefully, one of our 3 listeners will correct me. I think we picked up one.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Just because of how good we are.
Right.
But yeah, they have a facility in down there near South Carolina, and I think Jay Leno just had the company on his show, Jay Leno's Garage. They're offering. It's a little unclear what the I was about to say engine, but it's unclear if it's going to be a hybrid or a pure electric, or they're going to offer one of each. But it's a truck.
Right.
It's a truck just like Scout used to be back in the 60s.
Which was similar to the old Bronco or the new Bronco.
Jeep,
that's
yeah,
just
yes.
Jeep,
Oh,
Jeep.
yes.
It's got
Very
similar size, Yeah.
similar shape,
Right.
Kind of a rounded cigar shape. I just bonked the
little
microphone. I hope I didn't.
Yeah, a
deafen
little
anyone.
smaller than the old Blazers that we remember. That was
Yes.
the more extended SUV, but it was the old Jeep, Bronco,
Yes.
International Scout seem to be the 3 in that comparable size.
I'm not gonna talk about too much about this, but it's fascinating to me, just utterly fascinating how people's tastes change, what type of automobiles are available. You know, nowadays the kind of people who drove Scouts are more likely to drive Jeeps and Broncos, but more likely pickup trucks.
Right.
The SUV has gone away. Like, you remember in the 80s, we had the K5 Blazer, the full-size Bronco, the Bronco 2, the S10 Blazer,
right.
the Jeep Cherokee. I know we have a ton of SUVs now as well, so that trend has continued. But it seems like SUVs have gone the way of vehicles. They're lighter duty. Trucks have gone heavier duty.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see with Scout coming to market, what's Scout going to do? Where are they going to fit in? Are they going to be like the electric Hummer that GM just released a couple, maybe a year ago, something like that?
Yeah.
Are they going to be a hybrid where they have like a gasoline engine that makes electricity, but it's not connected to the wheels? We'll talk about that in another episode.
Sure, absolutely. So there's something to look forward to, folks.
I'm looking forward
I
to it.
No, I enjoy talking about cars. You're very knowledgeable, and we have a lot of fun. I don't have the mechanical knowledge, but I think I have the cultural. I like the aesthetics of a lot of the older vehicles, and that was back in the day when there were a lot fewer on the road, and we learned about those in high school as just teens sitting there watching these cars. We'd identify product by headlights, and the products were either Mopar, Ford, GM, or foreign. That's kind of how we could tell at night. Headlights coming, that's a Chrysler product or whatever. Silly things like that, or taillights going the other way. Would sit there.
And it was tricky when you were a boy because the Department of Transportation rules only allowed 2 types of headlights. I'm going to forget the size, but it was like 5.5-inch rectangular, like 7.5-inch rectangular, and then 2 sizes of circles as well.
Right, the rounds, yeah.
So if you look in the 60s and 70s, all cars are either small circle headlights,
Big circle
big
headlights,
circle
yep.
headlights, small square,
Big
2
square.
small squares,
Yep.
1 big square.
Yep. Yeah, it was different. So yeah, you could tell that's kind of a silly game we used to play, but that's identifying things. That's kind of a fun thing.
I love that game myself.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's just fun trying to. You get a little bit better. You see daylight, you see the shape, and you try to figure out like, well, is that the Pontiac
that
version or the
Volvo
Buick
when we were
version?
driving here.
Yeah,
I got that
that's
Volvo.
that's actually a fun story. That thing had to be a quarter mile ahead of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy. We're zooming up 91 to get here, and he goes, "What is that up ahead?" So I'm thinking it's a wreck or something. I'm like, "What the hell? I don't see anything. What's going on?" And he's like, "That up there, is that a Volvo?" And I'm like, Oh, I see the black car ahead of us in the right lane. I don't know. Let's find out. And it's almost like two cops, like, let's go check that out, hit the lights, let's go. And we're like, let's just safely
Adam,
advance.
78. This
Yeah.
is,
let's advance. Yeah, you're in pursuit. We want to see what this is. And it was a Volvo. He called it by just the fenders in the rear and the tail lights.
was
It
a
was
Volvo.
nice. Was it what year? 1948 or something?
Oh
Or was
no,
it
it's
50?
it's hard to know because the model didn't change for a long time.
Right.
But it's 60s to early 70s.
is it? Okay.
It was what people call Volvo never called it this, I don't think, but people call it the Amazon.
Okay.
Its number is 122, 124, 125. I forget exactly. There was station wagon, coupe, sedan,
Mm-hmm.
and it's these Volvos that was the sedan from Volvo in the 19
Right, just a
67,
classic standard
60s.
sedan.
Just a
Yeah, it had kind of a
basic
bubbly
sedan.
look, which is nice. It just
Rounded.
stands out, rounded look. Yeah, like
Yeah, typical for the time.
right, exactly. And or as opposed to, I think
square
of the
1970s and
American
80s, yeah.
cars. Well, even the '60s, the American cars were starting to go more boxy.
That car was
mid-60s.
aping the Cadillacs and the Sotos and Chryslers of the 50s,
50s,
right?
right.
Because it's sort of
had
like
that-
at that time American design was sort of ahead of the rest
It
of
was
the world.
It went from the bulbous, the rounded,
Yes.
to elongated rectangular shapes, which started going back a little bit curvy in the end of the '60s, early '70s. Started to put a little more flair into it, getting rid of the box. Then we went back to the box in the '80s, where just chunks of squares and rectangles, in my opinion.
Squares and rectangles.
Except for, and then we moved in the '90s with the was it jelly
Wait,
bean?
you're not
design?
critical. You're not
No,
critical
not
of
at all.
the rectangles because your car is literally
Mine's a
two
box.
rectangles.
My car's a
Two
box.
boxes.
It looks like a small school bus, right?
It
No,
really
I'm not critical. I was just like here they are. Here it is. My car is two.
For those listening, if you know what a Ford Flex is, it's literally the design is called the two box design, right? So there's like one big box for the passengers and cargo, one box for the engine. So it's very rectangular.
Yep. Yes, it is. It's and it is boxy. You look at it from back, it looks like a square. The front's got little flared, rounded
Yeah.
fenders to change
love
it up a
your
little aerodynamic. I love it too. It's the second one, and they just discontinued that a few years ago in 2019, and I'm sorry they did because there'd probably be a third one sitting around.
Right.
But I really enjoy it. It's a great riding car with tons of room. But yeah, tastes change, as you're saying. Tastes change with automobiles. They change with people looking at professions, and we've talked about this. We've looked at people, the old, advice for years from guidance counselors in school. Go to college. Oh, you have good grades. Go to college. Oh, you're a C student. Maybe you ought to think about a trade. You know what? Maybe I should think about a trade because you can make a lot more money as a skilled tradesperson than a lot of college grads, and we need those folks. And that is something that we are also partnering through one of our
Explorers program.
Explorers program with
Yeah.
Scouting. It's our career technical education based program where we partner with schools and community groups to essentially introduce young people.
Which is happening as we speak because there's a young man in a booth over there.
We have folks here
Who's-
doing
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
This is an exception, but we don't have a lot of vocational programs in schools anymore. This school's an exception. There were a lot more vocational schools when I was younger.
I had shop class of
Yeah.
two different kinds, wood shop and metal shop, all through high school, and that's probably why I became an aircraft mechanic.
Absolutely, help inspire you there, and I think it's important for kids to at least learn about these get some hands-on experience, learn about the trades, their various jobs and professions, and it's okay to say that's not for me, but you also have a respect for the people that go down that path if you've had an exposure to it, and whether it's law enforcement, which is one of our areas, or fire, maybe you join because your friends join, and you go, I don't want to be a cop. But if you get on a few ride-alongs, you learn a few things about handcuffing procedures and arrest procedures and things, maybe you'd sit there as a citizen and say, you know what? I didn't want to be a cop, but I really appreciate what they do. It's a lot of work.
100%.
And that's part of the learning as well. Every experience you have, you're going to learn something from it if you, look for the good in it, pay attention, stay cheerful, and cull the good from that. So.
I wouldn't be too down on those teachers who wanted to send us to college, you and me.
No, that's the
because
guidance counselors. Not the
They were,
teachers.
yeah, we don't like the guidance counselors. Don't get me started. No, just kidding. Guidance counselors are great.
Just teasing.
We're just
It was,
joking.
too easy of a joke. Sorry.
That's what they were taught, right? They were taught that the best thing they could do for their students is to boost up their college attendance numbers. And as we discussed on the last show, right? Ford Motor Company needs 5,000 mechanics, offering 120K. That's a good salary. You can have a great life on that kind of thing. And
Yes.
the teachers, the society that was pushing the college thing were doing the best they could. That best has now changed.
Absolutely.
And there's a good opportunity for people who have, skills, who are skilled with their hands, which we're going to talk way more about. But, that includes spatial reasoning.
Right.
That includes feel. That includes understanding how much torque to put on or not to put on.
Dexterity.
Dexterity,
yeah.
100%. Thank you for that.
Tactile, is it
Tactile
function?
skills. Yep. And some of those can be learned.
Yes.
Most of those can be learned. So there's naturals and some
Yeah,
people.
and,
have
and,
to
and seriously, not dogging the teachers and counselors.
No,
they
no.
came by that honestly. That was
They came
the
by that.
generation.
That was the good
That's
advice
part of
at
our
the time.
part of our development of society, going from agrarian to to business to manufacturing. In many of those jobs, it was a way out. Like, hey, you can go get an education. That gets into our friends, military friends, veterans, GI Bill. A lot of folks who normally would not go to college to have that opportunity and go into professions and in businesses, and that kind of became the mainstay of the world. And no, you're right. It's changed. We need a lot of people in all different types of jobs and trades, and we'll cover some of those. We'll meet some of those folks as guests in future episodes.
I think that's a nice point. That's a nice place to end. Do you agree?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So let's thank Peter one more time.
Yeah, absolutely.
We didn't say it at the beginning, but this show, as always, is brought to you by the Western Mass Council. It is the local Scouting America Council.
We're serving the 4 western counties of Massachusetts, instilling values out through programs we offer for young men and women, boys and girls, from grade K through age 20.
But regardless of that, that couldn't happen without Peter.
Absolutely.
So we're going to thank Peter as well. Peter's here the day after Thanksgiving, helping Rich and I record this, and we're very grateful.
And,
if you got,
Thank God for the bad joke meter too. That really, that
I'm
helps
not
us.
that I'm
You
not
weren't-
that grateful for the bad.
You weren't,
joke
because you're the
meter.
guy who got buzzed. But I
I
was pretty
buzzed.
thankful. I was pretty thankful for that.
And there was a significant lack of buzzing of your bad jokes.
Right.
Yet
They weren't
he
as bad.
Rang the buzzard for me.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
That's all right. Peter,
again.
you better shut off
That's a
camera
strike
before we pun again. I hope you all enjoyed it. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.